Hello and welcome to the FSGB Accrual Accounting Template. This is an addition to the Cash Accounting Template I previously released on Etsy and other platforms. This is a more sophisticated version of an accounting system compared to the Cash Accounting system. This would be able to be used for limited companies, and it should be suitable for any bigger companies that are on some sort of a budget. You don't want to be paying hundreds of pounds a month to get an accounting software system. Realistically, it'd be a lot easier if you could get just an Excel sheet that does everything you need. Maybe takes a bit longer, but does the job nonetheless. I'm going to take you through how to set up your accounts using this Excel template sheet, but firstly, I'm going to go through each one of the tabs individually and explain how they work and why they relate to the sheet. I will go to the first action required sheet. This is just a normal notice in which tells you need to save the workbook and delete the tab. This is in order to have a master copy in which you can keep on using every time you need to do a new set of accounts, every time you have a new period. Just in case anything goes wrong, it's always good to have an extra saved version in your files. This is the startup info tab, where you can put your company name, email reference, phone number, the period start and end date. It's just good, especially if you're an accountant doing someone else's accounts. It's always good to have their company name and address so you don't get muddled up on people's accounts and things like that. It's also got a few key performance indicators which you're able to keep an eye on. You're able to go in, choose whichever ones you want, cost of sales, gross profit. If you want to put EBIT and you have a target for, like, let's say 50,000, you can do that and it will keep track of it for you. You'll be able to see this further on as I go on. This is the chart of accounts where you're able to edit and update. You're able to create a new or edit any accounts quite easily. I've tried to make this as efficient as possible, so there is no problems that you can run into. I even have a little highlighted section here in which, if it is red, means you can't change, and if it is yellow, it means I advise you not to change as you've already used it. Obviously, we've not used any at the minute. You've got the place to put the previous period trial balance in and a place to match it to the accounts you have now. This works for any old trial balance which is not connected to the system. It just makes it a lot easier. You can put in the account of your old trial balance, your debits and credits in here, and you can match it to the new account you'd like. If you have used this system in the previous period, this column will automatically update. If you have not, it won't automatically update and you'll have to match it individually yourself. We have the bank statement rules, which makes it a lot easier when you're going through your bank statement to chart your different transactions. It makes it easy. You can put in the expected bank description and what account you then want it to go to. Makes it a lot easier when you have similar transactions that keep on coming up. You have a cost of sales calculator, which is really good at the end of just before you're about to finish the account. You can do a good cost of sales calculator to do the correct debit and credit, which will give you the inaccurate cost of sales instead of just a purchased cost of sales. You have a journal entry tab where you can put any journal entries in that you wish. We have the bank statement tab where you can copy and paste your bank statement in and chart this up to the correct account. There is a fully automated trial balance, which will automatically update from the old trial balance to the new trial balance, and then use the journal entry and bank statement tab to add anything that it needs to be added on. We also have checkers at the top to ensure that it is all balanced and fine. The profit and loss sheet, where you can also go through each one of the each bit on the profit and loss and look at the accounts that are associated with cost of sales. You can also see how much is in each one. And the same with the balance sheet, where you can also go through each one. It also highlights it here. And finally, we have the dashboard, in which you can check to see if there are any errors with your sheet, bank statement check, journal entry check, and the chart of accounts check to make sure that they're all fine. We have a profit and loss graph to show you what the profit was last year and what it is this year, and we also have the key performance indicators, in which you would have put in the setup tab, and how close you are to achieving them. Okay, so I will go back to the start and I will create a fictional company and complete their accounts for the quarter end of 31st March 2024. in order to show you how to input everything into this accrual accounting template. So when you are on this first tab, the first thing you want to do before you touch absolutely anything is you want to go to File, Save as a Copy, and place this in a folder of your wishing. I'm just going to call this company Sweet Treats Bakery, and I'm going to do it for the quarter end 31st of March 2024. And then straight away, once I've saved it, in order to know that I've saved this correctly, I'm just going to delete this tab. Actually, for this one, I'm just going to hide it. But as long as that tab is not there, then you are all fine. Next, I will go to the initial setup tab and start to fill in the information of the company, Sweet Treats Bakery. Also, as a note, I'm not copying off any business, or I'm not trying to use any business information at all. This is a fictional company, so apologies if I fill in anything which relates to an actual company. cb.com and the phone number +44 234. There we go. Now, importantly, you need to put this period start and end, as this will affect all of the information later on down the line. So we want to put that this starts on the 1st of the 1st 2024, and it should automatically update to the 1st of January. And then we want to put in the 31st of the 3rd 2024, which will be to the 31st of March 2024. It'll also automatically assume that this is a quarterly account, and so it'll assume that because the dates are quite close to a quarter, it's going to assume that it's a quarterly account. Sometimes you might not want this to be a quarterly account, and the dates you've used could, for you, be a bit different. If you need to, you can also change this to a bi-monthly account or monthly, and it will just automatically update this period time frame. But for the minute, I'm going to leave it as quarterly, just because this is a quarterly account for me. But if you need to change it, you can change it on a time frame override. For some key performance indicators, I'm going to track EBIT at 100,000. I'm going to track equity at 40,000, and I want to track net profit before tax at 110,000. After we've done that, I'm going to go to the chart of accounts. Firstly, I'm actually going to go to the previous trial balance input, and I'm going to get the trial balance from my previous quarter. It doesn't matter if it's from a previous quarter, a previous year, as long as you have a trial balance. It's fine for any period as long as the trial balance ends the day before you start this account. Then it works completely. I'm just going to paste this in here as normal. As you can see, we have little indicators up here which tell you if it is balanced. If I put in that, it shows you it's not balanced. So we're going to keep that balanced for the minute. And because this is an old trial balance, none of these have automatically matched. You can see if we were to put something from the chart of accounts, I'll quickly copy this and put it as the cash app bank. You can see it automatically updates, but we don't have that at the minute. So we need to manually match these up to the correct statement. Firstly, before I do anything, I need to change the chart of accounts to reflect a correct account that I want it to go to. So for instance, cash at bank, I want this to be my bank account, not cash at bank, and sales revenue, I want it to be a shop sales revenue. So I'm going to go to the chart of accounts. I'm going to change this current assets cash bank 1. I'm going to change this to Puplo bank account to reflect the bank I am using currently. I'm also going to go all the way down to revenue, and I want to make a shop revenue. In terms of how this works, the account name, you have revenue at the start, which is just here. You have then these N1 plus N2, N3 all split out into these. So if I was to put shop revenue, I don't know, bread. If I specifically wanted to track bread, I could do that and it would change to bread, and it would be the same for, let's say, sourdough. it would specifically do that. But I only want shop revenue at the minute, and I also want subscription revenue. Please also do be advised, I know I said this before, but if any of these come up as yellow, which you will see later as I'll point out, do not change the name, as it will cause your trial balance to not balance. You will be putting stuff in accounts that don't exist. So if worst comes to worst and it is yellow and you need to change it for whatever reason, please just just add a new one, as it will mess up the system a bit, and you will have to go in and change each individual one under an account that you don't want to be in anymore, which can be a bit annoying. If it is red, you won't be able to change it at all. For instance, the sheet will not let you change it because it is too important to the final amount. So after we've done that, we can go into match, and I'm going to match each one of these into the correct one. You just have to type in a bit of the name and you can put it in, and then it changes to salmon. Also to know, on any of my sheets, blue means you can change something, salmon means you can't change it. Anything that's blue means you can change it. Do purchases, wages. Accounts receivable, bank account, inventory, equipment, depreciation, payable, bank loan, capital is just common stock, and drawings are drawings. So after that, we don't need the bank statement rule creator yet. We'll just go straight to the bank statement, and we want to add in our previous bank statement for this period. You can see here, popular bank statement, date 1st of Jan, 30th of March, cash start, cash end. I'm going to individually copy and paste the date, the amount, and the reference. Don't need the transaction ID. Paste that in as so, just normal. I need the reference to put in as the description. Right click, copy. Paste, and finally the amount. Gonna get this, right click, copy, and paste. And as you can see immediately, this comes up as a big cross saying balance and error. And you can see all of these down here are X's. This means that there is a payment within this bank statement that has not been charted yet. So until we chart each one of these, there'll be a massive X, which is that we are not accounting for that yet. Just need to account this somewhere. You can see here the account is there. Firstly, actually what I want to do is I want to select my correct bank account. I'm going to do this as the popular bank account, as I changed before. This means that all of these transactions here are going to affect this account. And we can also see that the period start balance and the period end balance is changing to reflect what it actually is. This should be the same as on your bank statement, although mine isn't, but there's a reason behind that. It's just I've been editing before this video. But this start balance and end balance should be the same as on your bank statement. If it is not, it means there is some sort of issue with your bank statement. So before we start charting this, I'm going to create some rules. There's a few rules I'd like to create. I'm going to get some of these. So I know that John Stones has a monthly direct debit. Every month, he'll always have a direct debit, and I want to place him into a category where I don't really have to think about it. I'm going to copy and put him straight into this bank rule description box. Paste that into there. You can see a big X is because we've not accounted for that. I'm going to do John Stones monthly debit. And I'm going to put this in the account of subscription revenue. So as soon as a bank description comes up like that, I will be advising the recommended section to put this straight into subscription revenue. Also, you can see here in the recommended section, it's automatically coming up with the subscription revenue. It advises me to put this in straight away. There is a few of these which I know are similar. So flower purchase is quite common. Rent a store monthly rent every month. Post office deposit. OVO energy. All of these. I'm gonna copy this, put this straight into my bank statement rules. I'm just gonna paste all of these into here. Flower purchase, rent, revenue, deposit, and energy payment. And each one of these, so flower is just purchases, rent a store in my rent account. I want this as my shop revenue. Energy monthly payment in my utilities. You can see all of these are green now, which means they're good to go. For the sake of time, I'm not going to put any more, and I think these were the most common ones. So you either now have two options. You can either, for every time you see a recommended revenue subscription, you could just type in subscription revenue, or when these recommended are here, you can highlight all of them all the way down to the bottom. Only do this before you've started charting as well. You can right click, copy, go right to the top, and you want to right click and you want to click this paste special button and ensure you click values here instead of all. You want values, and then click OK, and then this automatically comes in and charts it for you, so you don't need to worry about it, which is a lot easier than going through each one, but you still have the rest to fill in. So I'm going to fill in each one of these on where they should go. Kitchen supplies should go to plant and equipment, and payroll to go to payroll. Packaging, packing costs. Just going to put this, I'm going to actually create a new chart for this one, popular bank fee, because I do not have a chart for that. So I'm going to go in. As you can see here, these are the yellow markers, do not touch. I need to make an SGA account for, I'm going to put this as bank fee. I'm going to come back into it and now type in bank fee. It should come up straight away there at the bottom. Just as soon as you make it, be available to use. I'm going to do another payroll. So this one actually, this transaction number 20023, I want to split this into a few different payments. I want some of it to be repairs, and I also want some of it into a different account. So you can come over to here to this split amount over here, make sure you're on the right line. You can split up to 6 different times, so six different amounts you can do. They all have to add up to the cash amount that is on here. Like it can be plus or minus, but you have to make sure you're putting minus if it is a minus. For example, if you're going to put minus 400 into here, it would have to be in minus 400 just as this would be checked off. But you could also do minus 500 plus 100, and that would be fine. So we're going to put this into, firstly, repairs and maintenance. 300 of it, minus 300. And the next bit we're actually going to put it into is vehicle expenses. Yep, vehicle expenses as so, into 100 there, to show that it is a split between these two. So you can split it. It's very reasonable that you can split this up to 6 different accounts. I can't really do much more, as it uses up a lot of Excel's memory and will mean you can do a lot less transactions without it breaking. But if we go on packaging, yeah, the bank fee again. Don't have too many more of these. Equipment, payroll, subscription, advertising, packing and bank fee. And once all of these are done and accounted for, you can see that there is a big check mark, no error, no line, and it means you're all good to go. It means everything should be fine and adding up correctly as thus far. You can go into the trial balance and you see initially it says X, but you have to always remember you have to do this. So you can either press Alt A R A on your keyboard, or you can go to data and refresh all, and you see it then checks out. It's just because this system uses pivot tables, which affects different stuff within it. You do have to be a bit more manual when you come to pivot tables, but you can see debits and credits all lined up. You can see that this is the old one as it ends as at 31st of December 2023, and this one ends at 31st of March 2024. Both debits and the credits add up completely fine, and everything thus far looks correct. What we're going to do next is we're going to go to the cost of sales calculator, as we need to create a new journal entry for cost of sales. So this cost of sales calculator makes it a bit more easier to work out the cost of sales, do the correct calculation, in which means that your cost of sales is correct and it's not just based off purchases, which is not allowed. This takes into account your opening inventory, your closing inventory, any purchases you've made, and then create a cost of sales figure to account for that. So I'm going to start this. This only works if you have one inventory account. If you have more than one inventory account, you will have to do the calculation by yourself, because this is only a very basic cost of sales calculator to give you the correct journal entry. So we're going to do this as so. So we have our inventory. You can just type in the account here. Remember, anything in blue you can change, anything in salmon you cannot change. It won't let you even if you try. So you have your current assets inventory is our inventory tab, and we also want to make this the closing inventory. Our purchases account. Again, purchases account has to be the same account for every single one. If it's different, it won't work. And we want our cost of sales to come under cost of sales other. You can see here at the bottom it's already coming up with the journal, but we need to say what our closing inventory is, what we want it to be, and we want it to be 3,000. So as you can see here, now the calculator is telling us we want to debit cost of sales by 5,000, and we want to credit inventory by 5,000 as well. So I'm going to quickly do that in our journal entry tab. Now, the journal entry tab is pretty simple to use. You can add any that you want, with the exception of every time you make a journal, you want to create another journal after that, you need to miss a line, or it's going to come up with the same transaction number. It won't affect it very much, it all being under the same one, but just for your reference on every single transaction you want to put in, you kind of want there to be a gap so you can easily go back and check. I'll explain this as I do it. So I'm going to put this journal entry for the cost of sales in now, 3/2024. You can also see if the wrong date is entered, it will highlight. This is exactly the same in the bank statement also. If you put in the wrong date, you'll see a date error. This just means that you've put in a date in which should not be within your period. This is why it's important to put the period in at the start. It'll let you know if you've got any transactions that should not be included in your current account, the current set of accounts. So I'm going to 31st of the 3rd, 2024. I've got two transactions that I'm going to do, and I'm going to do cost of sales description. In my account, I'm going to copy exactly what it says in the cost of sales calculator, which says cost of sales debit inventory credit. Inventory, and it is 5,000 debit and 5,000 credit. This check will always tell you if you have if your debits and credits add up correctly. So next we're going to miss a line, and we also need to change our drawings and make that common stock so it doesn't affect us so it doesn't look wrong. We did our drawings in our last period, not this period. So we're going to change our drawings from our drawings account, which is actually a credit, but I'm going to show you that it doesn't matter which way you do it. You can do your debits or credits first, it doesn't matter. Common stock. So I'm going to reduce the common stock to 570 to reflect the drawings that were made last period. We also have an accounts receivable that was done on the 11th of the 3rd, 2024. Accounts receivable. So affect our revenue and our accounts receivable and our current assets. £400 and £400. And finally, we also have a tax expense, which we want to add, which was on this day. I'll put corporation tax. And that is tax expense, corporation tax, and our tax payable. Current liabilities, 2500. 2500. So once, obviously, you'd have a lot more journal entries. This can go up to about line 1,000, even a bit more, maybe. I'm not too sure. But once you've done with all of those, you can then go to your trial balance. Remember Alt A or A to ensure everything's correct. Once you have checked that all of the trial balance is correct, it's up to your standards, it all matches here. So check here, check here. There's nothing going wrong. You can then move on to the profit and loss statement. So this works quite well, as in you are able to check every single account. You have the revenue here minus cost of sales to equal gross profit, minus SGA, minus distribution expenses, minus R&D expenses, which gets you to your EBIT, 19,850. You have your finance income here, finance expense is 0 for each, so the net profit pre-tax stays the same, your tax expense, and then your net profit after tax. For each one of these accounts, you can see which part of the trial balance is put into it. So look at revenue. We have normal revenue, which is 400. We have shop revenue, which is 13,900. And we have subscription revenue, which is 14,600. You can see, actually, now that I look, I think that revenue should actually be in shop revenue. So I'm going to go to my journal entry tab and I'm going to change this to shop revenue. Go to the trial balance, Alt A, R A, and then come back into it. Now you can see that that 400 has been added into shop revenue. It's no longer in normal revenue. I'm going to go to cost of sales. You can see that this is adding up to this correctly and all fine. Now you can see the SGA, all of the selling general admin costs which have been put in, gives you full breakdown of it. Which just makes it good to look into it if you need it, and you obviously need it for company's house. It just tells you where everything is. In the balance sheet, you have to make sure that it balances, obviously. You have current assets down here, fixed assets. You can see that it accounts for the minus 500 in depreciation, current liabilities, long-term liabilities, and finally your equity. But if your trial balance is completely fine and check, they both should balance completely fine. There should be nothing wrong with it. And finally, you can go to the dashboard where you can see your total profit and loss. You can see your total profit was minus 200, I think, in the last year. So this is virtually zero, very down at the start. And you can see that we've went up this year a lot. There's no errors on here at all. If there were any errors, it would let you know. This includes the chart of accounts, where if you do change any chart of accounts while there is money put into it, it will let you know and be like, look, there's something that is not getting accounted for here, which you think is getting accounted for. You have the KPIs down here. You can see your EBIT, where 20%, which I mean a quarter into the year, maybe could be a bit higher. Our equity, we want to have a bit more equity. We're going to have to make a few more sales. And our net profit pre-tax is nowhere near where we want it at the minute. And it just gives you a good overview of your business. You can show it to a manager and tell them where we're at. It's good for management accounting. But yeah, overall, I think this accounting template is very useful, especially for if your business doesn't have too much money. If you're starting off but you need to account properly, you don't want to cash account. I'd advise, if you're a small business, it's probably best to cash account. I would say accrual accounting can be a lot more difficult and non-stressful, and add a lot more time take a lot more time off your business, which you need to be putting into it. But if you require accrual accounting, such as if you're a limited company, this could be a good start for you. Instead of getting an actual accounting system, you could use this Excel one. I use it as well, along with my cash accounting one. I think it is very good. I think I put a lot of work into it to try and make it perfect for the customer, you, and I really think it's worth giving it a try. It could save you a lot in the long run. But that's me. Thank you very much for listening to this video, and I hope that however you move on in your accounting journey, it really works out for you. Thank you very much.